Hi guys, welcome back TV Spoilers. The Y&R storyline continues to heat up with the disappearance of Devin and Lily, bringing exciting surprises to viewers. Lily Winters' mysterious disappearance will truly worry Devin Winters and Nate Hastings. Suspicious signs, Devin Hamilton and Nate Hastings begin to notice Lily Winters' unusual absence. Initially, they assume she's busy with work or dealing with personal matters, but after several unanswered calls and messages, or only receiving short, vague messages from Lily's number, they begin to feel something is wrong. Devin, with his strong intuition, senses an unease beyond ordinary explanations. Devin tries to keep himself on the edge between reason and gut feeling. He analyzed the situation like a leader reading a report. Lily might be caught up in work. She might be dealing with personal matters. She might be somewhere with poor signal. She might need space. These hypotheses sounded plausible if he only looked at Lily's schedule and habits, but they became fragile when he considered his own feelings. Devin's intuition wasn't impulsive. It was honed through losses, through failing to recognize the signs of danger until it was too late. Therefore, each minute that passed without Lily reappearing like a bitter reminder that sometimes the slightest delay could be the beginning of a major disaster. Devin hated that feeling of helplessness. He hated waiting, hated guessing, hated watching a growing silence build up between him and the truth. Nate, however, entered the realm of anxiety through a different, more practical, but equally heavy path. He didn't have Devin's painful intuition, but he was accustomed to seeing things through concrete signals, the number of unanswered calls, the consistency of messages, the prolonged absences that exceeded normal limits. Nate wasn't easily panicked, because he understood that panic was what ruined decisions. However, that very calmness was frightening when it began to crack. When Nate looked at Devin and realized Devin was trying to hide his tension with a calm demeanor, he understood that this was no longer just a matter of being busy. If Devin had begun to suspect something, it meant the atmosphere had changed. It meant something was wrong that they were both trying to avoid naming. The discussion between Devin and Nate wasn't purely informational exchange, but a desperate attempt to keep things under control. They tried to start with normal questions. When was the last time anyone saw Lily? What were the contents of recent messages? Were there any unusual points in Lily's schedule? But the more details they delved into, the more they found themselves following a broken lead. Unanswered calls, late or curt replies, unexplained gaps in time. Devin looked at the words on the screen and saw them as pieces of paper placed over a wound to temporarily stop the bleeding, but not to heal it. He tried to picture Lily on the other side. Was she deliberately avoiding him, or was someone preventing her from speaking more? Both hypotheses sent chills down Devin's spine, because they both led to the same conclusion. Lily wasn't as free as she wanted them to think. What made the atmosphere even more tense was the lack of information about the twins. If Lily had simply disappeared alone, they could have reassured themselves that she was dealing with a personal issue. But even when the signs related to the twins become obscure, the worry transformed into a more tangible, sharper form of fear. Devin felt his mind reeling with images he didn't want to imagine, but scenarios he tried to push out but kept resurfacing. He hated having to think about the worst, but he hated even more pretending everything was okay and letting time pass. Every minute of hesitation could be a minute they lost. When the conversation nearly reached a dead end, not because they had stopped worrying, but because they had reached the limits of what could be speculated, Devin felt a cold resolve rise within him. This resolve didn't erupt into immediate grand action, but rather like a door closing behind him, the door of self-reassurance. From that moment on, Devin no longer allowed himself to believe that everything must be all right. He looked at Nate as if conveying a silent message. They couldn't continue standing by and waiting for Lily to return on her own, like any other day. Nate responded with a heavy gaze, as if he too had just accepted the game, though inwardly he still longed for a gentler reason to believe it. Nate stood beside Devin, Silent for a few breaths, then both seemed to understand simultaneously that this anxiety had entered a new phase. It was no longer Lily missing in the sense of a missed appointment or a phone call, but Lily is somewhere out of their reach in a far more terrifying sense. And as that thought gripped Devin, he realized he wasn't just worried about Lily, but about themselves. Worried about that they were being manipulated. Worried that this truth was being distorted. Worried that every step they took might be part of some unseen scheme. Devin and Nate looked at each other, attention like a taut string reaching its limit. And in that moment, they understood that any decision they made next would either bring them closer to the truth or plunge them deeper into darkness. Just as Devin was about to take a specific action to break the loop, the phone screen lit up again. And this time, it wasn't a long message of an explanation, but a line so short it felt like a period. So vague it felt like a warning, and cold enough to send a shiver down Devin's spine with the premonition that they had just been seen.